Berserk is a series that hinges on the exploration of its primary characters to do what it does best. Even in the latter parts of the manga, in which the number of significant characters is higher than it's ever been, the story still puts gigantic emphasis on its prominent individuals. This point is truer than ever in the Golden Age arc, where there would be absolutely minimal story content if you were to remove the characters of Guts, Casca, and Griffith, who all have so much impact on the themes and plot. This approach to storytelling is pretty admirable to me because it's so risky. If the characters that the narrative focuses on are weak, then the story just can't work. So a writer has to be either extremely confident or extremely foolish to take this approach to storytelling, since everything crashes down if the characters aren't believable or engaging. However, this is all a moot point for Berserk, since the aforementioned trio are some of the deepest and most exceptionally written characters in modern fiction, at least for me. The character-driven story that Kentaro Miura conceived in Berserk works on so many levels simply because exploring the ideas and themes that are put forth through great characters is so fascinating. Although, despite having minimal roles, the secondary characters in Berserk augment the story through their functions. Think about Luca, whose positivity and maternal nature added just the right amount of light to the morbid darkness and brutality of the Conviction arc. There's also Corcus, who offered the audience a brilliant glimpse into the psychology of the average mercenary, completely captivated by the Band of the Hawk's leader. The type of loyal follower that Griffith desperately needs to accomplish his dreams, yet the type that he will never respect by design. My personal favorite of Berserk's secondary cast is quite a bit different from everyone else, and offered exactly what the Golden Age arc needed, in all of the places where it needed it. Judeau has a really subtle function in the story of Berserk. He's extremely charming and likable throughout the arc, but also has an underplayed role. He's the type of character that you don't often take note of during the story, but one whose absence is immediately felt. And that's the mark of a support character done perfectly. Judeau joins the Band of the Hawk as a young man, having previously worked at a circus troupe and applying his skills there. There were no real unique reasons for him joining, other than being taken in by Griffith's infectious charisma and talk of dreams like basically everyone else. From then on, he grew in stature and solidified himself as one of the most important figures in this group. Our first proper introduction to Judeau was truly well done. He essentially acts as the welcome wagon for Guts, who was feeling justifiably a bit imprisoned, having been enforced to enlist in the band. And Judeau's natural optimism and comforting vibrancy went a long way towards allowing Guts to feel at ease and begin to accept his new situation. This wasn't a coincidence either. Judeau has a knack for understanding people, and he likely just sensed that Guts could use a comforting word at this point. Another great example of Judeau simply knowing the right thing to say was when he comforted Casca by reminding her how important she was to Griffith. As we follow the Band of the Hawk's slow and steady rise throughout the series, Judeau was always there, carrying out orders, providing wisdom to the group, being a part of missions. He was an incredible asset to Griffith and his comrades, and overall a really likable dude, at least for me. But the unfortunate truth of the matter is that Judeau's main purpose in Berserk was to be slaughtered with the rest of the Band of the Hawk, to contribute to Guts' insatiable yearning for revenge for the rest of the series. While it definitely would have been awesome to see this charismatic guy live to fight another day and help Guts kick some apostle ass, it's clear that Judeau was doomed from the start and fated to breathe his last breath in Casca's arms. Now, what I've just stated was basically a summary of what Judeau did throughout the Golden Age arc, but here I'm going to try and expand on the type of character he was just a little bit. While Judeau's role was to die and fuel Guts' lust for revenge for the rest of the series, that's definitely not all that his character was good for, and he did have other purposes as well. He was a personality unlike any other Band of the Hawk member. Guts was sullen in the beginning and quietly contemplative later on. Griffith was always focused on his goals, rather alien to the day-to-day workings of his men. Casca was rough around the edges, hiding a softer side. Pippin was, well, not very talkative. Corcus was obnoxious most of the time, and Rickard was a little bit naive and immature in his attitudes. None of them were as easygoing, perceptive, and intrapersonally intelligent as Judeau. His vibrant attitude and personality provided a positive outlook that wasn't immature. He was the optimist of the group. Maybe perhaps not even because he was an optimist at heart, but because he was intelligent enough to realize that this is what the group needed at times. I think that we get the most revealing glimpse of Judeau's character during his conversation with Guts after finding out that Guts intends to leave the band. As Judeau states himself, he has always been adept at many things. He's clever, agile, stealthy, great in combat, but he has never been a true master at anything. He says that in realizing this, he made a choice that he would find a man who was truly capable of being the best and serve at his side. He has essentially given up on grand ambitions or dreams. I get the feeling that Judeau isn't completely satisfied that he's gone this route, but he has settled and accepted it.
Every man at some point dreams of greatness.
In saying this, Judeau is saying that in the making of the Band of the Hawk, hundreds of great dreams were set aside to serve Griffith. This just adds a sad little twist to the dynamic of the band as a whole, and makes the implications of the eclipse that much more tragic. Judeau had dreams of being great, but he had to do something that is excruciatingly hard to do for some people. Accept his limits and make do. A very simplified way that I like to describe Judeau is that he is sort of like a Guts with lesser ambition. Picture Guts, strip off a ton of muscle mass, get rid of his overwhelming ambition to find a purpose in life, and you get someone similar to Judeau. He's intelligent and acknowledges that he is just a small part of a bigger picture. He puts his dreams of greatness to the side, but he's aware of this, unlike people like Corcus. He sees the melancholic aspect of this great mercenary band clearer than I think nearly anyone does. Judeau contrasts Guts in the sense that he isn't really pursuing a big purpose in life, but similar to Guts in that he knows exactly what he's doing. The most tragic aspect of Judeau, I think, was his unrequited love for Casca. He always admired the woman from afar, and secretly fell for her, but his inability to act on these feelings is really unfortunate. I think that this is partly due to an extension of the comfort zone that Judeau acts within in his life, but also because he feels that Casca is someone that deserves someone who is willing to pursue grand ambitions, someone like Guts. As a side note, he thinks that she would deserve Griffith as well, but admits that it would never work out between them because Charlotte is the one who will further Griffith's dream, not Casca. This is another example of Judeau's striking intelligence. He's one of the only characters who can sense the true essence of Griffith's personality. But I digress. Going back to his feelings for Casca, it's a clear case of Judeau living for others and not himself. The guy could have really benefited with a bit of selfishness, and he really did deserve it. But I guess that he just thought himself unworthy of Casca, which is really quite sad. Again, this is all just my interpretation and could be off base. I think that in the end, Judeau died with a lot of regret in his heart. Regret that he wasn't able to live his own life, and regret that he didn't have the courage to display his feelings to the woman he loved. This is what's so brutal about his end, and makes him more gut-wrenching than any of the other deaths in the eclipse for me. Seeing this bright, endearing, brilliant man die a bloody death is one thing, but seeing him die knowing that he has so many dreams unfulfilled and so many regrets in his heart was devastating. Life really is too short. Judeau does just enough throughout Berserk's story to leave a lasting impact, yet he also acts as a tool to reveal different perspectives to the story and its other characters. For example, he reveals a great deal about Corcus's past, acts as an interesting contrasting character to Guts, and adds a different perspective to the Band of the Hawk. Any aspiring writer who doesn't know exactly how to write an effective support character need look no farther than Judeau. But I feel like talking about him in this mechanical and functional way does a bit of a disservice to a great character. Overall, Judeau works so well because he has a heart and a soul. He's the type of guy that anyone would want to be friends with. He was so human in his insecurities and regrets, yet so admirable in his selflessness and attitude. When I think of Judeau, I think of quiet confidence, an inner spirituality and a sort of zen that lead to a really notable sense of peace with the way of the world but an underlying yearning to explore himself even more that just brought forth some hints of regret. He was the type of character that you wanted to see succeed with everything that he set out to do. And seeing this kind of character being struck down in cold blood was brutal, but it really makes you savor the times in which Judeau was truly happy.